And now we present the story of Devayani, Sukracharya's daughter. Long ago, the gods and the demons often battled with each other for lordship over the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. The gods, desiring victory, established Brihaspati as their priest to perform their sacrifices. The demons established the knowledgeable Sukra for the same reason. Between these two priests, there was always vain competition. When any of the demons were slain in battle, Sukra, by his mystic knowledge and power, would revive them from death. They would then resume their fight with the gods and kill many of them. But Brihaspati, not knowing the science of Sanjivani or resuscitation, could not revive them. Therefore the gods were greatly aggrieved, anxious, and fearful of Sukra. Consequently, they went to Brihaspati's oldest son, Kacha, and one of them said, "Please accept our respects. We beg your kindness and would appreciate if you would do us a big favor. We would like you to obtain the mystic secret of resuscitation from the illustrious Brahmin. He resides in King Brihasparvan's court. He always gives protection to the demons, but never to us. You are younger than him and able to adore him worshipfully. You can also adore his favorite daughter, Devayani. Truly, you alone are able to please them by worship. No one else can do so. If you please Devayani by your behavior, generosity, and kindness, and general conduct, you will surely be able to obtain that science." Kacha said, "All right, I will try," and immediately departed for Vrishaparvan's capital. Arriving there, he sought out Sukra and said to him, "I would like to be your disciple. Please accept me. I am Brihaspati's son and the sage Angirasa's grandson. My name is Kacha. If you agree to become my guru, I will practice celibacy for 1,000 years. O Brahmin, please order me."
"You are welcome, O Kacha. I accept your words and will treat you with respect. For by doing so, I will be respecting Brihaspati."
"Thank you. Then I shall begin my vow now." From that time on, the youthful Kacha began to thoughtfully please both his guru and his guru's young marriageable daughter, Devayani. He pleased Devayani by singing, dancing, playing musical instruments, and by eagerly offering her gifts of flowers, fruits, and various services. And she too sang for and served him as he practiced his vow, gradually falling in love with him. After 500 years had elapsed, some of the demons suspected Kacha's intention and became incensed. So one day, when Kacha was tending Sukra's cows in a solitary part of the forest, those angry demons sought him out. Hating Kacha's father, desiring to prevent the science of resuscitation from being conveyed to Kacha, and having no compunction about killing a Brahmin, they murdered him. And then, so as to leave no trace of evidence of their foul deed, they chopped his body into pieces and fed it to the jackals and wolves. At twilight, when Devayani saw the cows return to their sheds without Kacha, she became concerned, went to her father, and told him about it. "I fear that he is lost or dead. Oh, father, I say this truly, that I cannot live without him."
Sukra replied, "If he is dead, then I shall revive him and bring him here."
By his mystic power, he summoned Kacha to his presence. the parts of Kacha's body, having been devoured by wolves and jackals, suddenly burst out of those animals' bodies, reunited into a single form, and happily appeared before his teacher. Devayani asked, "What happened to you?" "Well, I was carrying sacrificial fuel, kusha grass, and logs of wood, and was headed towards our house. I was hot and tired, so I sat down, along with the cows, under the shade of a banyan tree. Then some demons approached and asked who I was. I told them I was the son of Brihaspati, and as soon as they heard that, they murdered me. They chopped up my body, fed it to the jackals and wolves, and then went joyfully home. Therefore I am here only because of, your father revived me." On another occasion, Devayani asked Kacha to go to the forest to gather some flowers for her. As he did, the demons again killed him, pounded his body into a paste, and mixed it with the water of the ocean. When Kacha failed to return at the usual time, Devayani informed her father of this. Then Sukra, by his mystic science, summoned Kacha before him. When he appeared, he related everything that had happened. At another time, Kacha was again slain by the demons. They burned his body to ashes, mixed the ashes with wine, and gave the wine to Sukra, who drank it. Devayani then said, "Oh, Father, I sent Kacha to gather wild flowers, but he has not returned. I am sure that he is lost or dead. If so, I cannot live without him."
Sukra said, "My dear daughter, Kacha has gone to the region of death. Though I keep reviving him, he continues to be killed. What can I do? Oh, Devayani, do not grieve or cry. A person like you should not mourn for one who is mortal. Why, as a result of my powers, you are worshipped 3 times a day during the prayer hours by Brahmins, the gods, and other celestials. In fact, the whole universe. Devayani, it is impossible to keep him alive, for no sooner do I restore him than he is again killed."
"Oh, Father, why should I not mourn for him? Was he not the grandson of the great sage Angiras and the son of the great sage Brihaspati? Was he not a celibate and an ascetic? And was he not always alert and skilled in everything? Oh, Father, if I do not see Kacha, I will starve myself to death and follow him. He is so dear to me."
"These demons want to hurt me, for they keep killing my disciple. They are followers of Lord Shiva and want to strip me of my Brahminical character by making me participate in their crime. And such a crime, that of killing a Brahmin, has a terrible end and would burn even Indra."
Urged by Devayani, Sukra began to summon Kacha from the region of death. But Kacha, who was in his guru's stomach and was afraid of coming out for fear of killing him, said, "My lord, please be gracious to me. It is I, Kacha, who worships you. Kindly treat me as your own son."
"How did you enter my stomach? And where are you staying now? I shall leave the demons this very moment and become the preceptor of the gods."
"By your mercy, I still have my memory. Yes, I remember everything that has happened, and my ascetic qualities have not been destroyed. For this reason, I am able to bear this nearly intolerable pain. I was killed by the demons, burned and reduced to ashes, and mixed into the wine you drank." Sukra turned to Devayani and said,
"Oh, daughter, I can bring Kacha back only at the expense of my life. There is no other way he can come out except by tearing open my stomach."
"Oh, Father, if you die, I will not be able to keep up my life, just as I will not be able to if Kacha remains dead." Then Sukra said to Kacha,
"You are already successful because Devayani respects you so highly. I have decided to teach you the science of resuscitation, provided you are not Indra disguised as Kacha. It is not right for a Brahmin to be murdered. Therefore, I will teach you this science now. After you receive it and I bring you back to life, please act graciously.
Right after Sukra taught Kacha the science, Kacha burst out of his teacher's stomach, killing him instantly. However, now that Kacha knew the science, he immediately revived his guru by this means. Then he said to him, "You have poured nectar in the form of this science into my ears. Thus I regard you as both my father and mother. How can I ever forget the great service you have done me? How can I ever be so ungrateful as to hurt you? Persons who gain true knowledge from their gurus, who are always objects of worship and the most precious of all precious objects on earth, but who injure them, come to be hated on earth and ultimately go to the regions of the damned." It was then that the learned Sukra realized that Kacha had tricked him into revealing the secret science of resuscitation, and only because the sage had been under the influence of wine. Had he been in his normal, alert consciousness, he would not have been so careless. Angry with himself, he proclaimed, "From this day on, any Brahmin who does not resist the temptation to drink wine shall be considered as having lost his piety and slain a Brahmin, and shall be despised in this world and the other worlds. I set this restriction on the behavior and dignity of Brahmins everywhere. Therefore, let the honest, the Brahmins, the gods, those who respect their superiors, and the three worlds listen." Sukra then summoned the foolish demons and bellowed, "How foolish you are! You should know that Kacha has satisfied his wishes. From now on, he will live with me. Because he has obtained the priceless knowledge of resurrecting the deceased, he has become as powerful as Lord Brahma." The demons, very surprised, then departed for their homes. And Kacha also, after staying with Sukra for 1,000 years and taking his permission, prepared to return to the region of the gods. When Devayani heard that Kacha was about to leave, she approached him and said, "Oh Kacha, you shine most brightly in behavior and birth, in knowledge, austerity, and modesty. As my father honors your grandfather, sage Angiras, so do I honor your father. Knowing this, please listen to me. Do you recall how I acted affectionately towards you during the period of your vow of celibacy? Now that you have completed your vow, I would like you to turn your affections towards me and marry me." "Oh, Devayani, I honor and worship you as I do your father. In fact, even more so. As the daughter of my guru, you are ever worthy of my reverence, but I am not interested in marriage." "You too are the son of my father's guru's son, and are thus worthy of my respect and worship. Please recall the affection I showed you when the demons killed you so many times. How can you just abandon me now after I showed you such friendship and devotion? Have I hurt you in any way? I'm truly devoted to you." "Oh, Devayani, yes, you are, but it would be sinful for me to marry you. Please try to understand. True, you are virtuous and beautiful, but you once resided in your father's body as a soul within his sperm before conception. And I too resided in his body, within his stomach mixed with wine. Thus, since we both emerged from his body, we are, in effect, brother and sister. We have spent the days we were together happily, and we have a good understanding. So I ask your leave to return home. please give me your blessing so that my trip back will be safe. I want you to remember me as one who has not transgressed righteousness. Always serve my guru with eagerness and one-pointedness of heart." "Oh, Katya, if you refuse to marry me, even after I propose to you, then by my curse, the knowledge you have gained from my father will not bear fruit. Devayani, I have refused your request only because you are my guru's daughter, and not because you have any flaw. Also, in this regard, my guru has not ordered me to marry you. If it pleases you, then curse me, but I have told you what the proper conduct is for a holy man. Though I do not deserve to be cursed, you have cursed me. You have acted under the influence of emotion and not from a sense of responsibility. Thus your desire will not be satisfied. You have said that my knowledge shall not bear fruit. So be it. However, though it may not bear fruit in my life, it shall bear fruit to whomever I may convey it." Katya then quickly traveled to the planet where Indra, the king of the gods, dwelled. When the celestials saw him, they, with Indra at their head, joyfully welcomed him. Next, they immediately worshipped him, and one of them said, "You have truly done a deed of great profit for us. Your accomplishment is indeed marvelous. Never shall your fame perish, and you shall share with us in the sacrificial offerings." Thereafter, when Katya taught the gods the science of resuscitation, they considered their goal as already attained. So they gathered together, and one of them said to Indra, "The time has come for showing valor. O Indra, kill your enemies."
"Yes, I shall."
Accompanied by the celestials, he set out on the mission. However, along the way, he saw some beautiful maidens sporting in a lake in some gardens. To have some fun, Indra transformed his body into that of wind. Then, approaching the maidens' garments they had left on the bank, he mixed them up. Shortly after, the maidens came out of the water and went to the intermingled heap of clothes. Sarmishta, the daughter of King Vrishaparvan, mistakenly took Devayani's clothes. When Devayani saw this, she condescendingly remarked, "Since you are my disciple, why have you taken my clothes? Your conduct is reprehensible, and no good can come to you." But Sarmishta quipped, "Your father occupies a lower seat than my father. He always honors my father with downcast eyes, like one who is hired to chant others' prayers, whether the king is sitting relaxed or lying down. You are the daughter of one who chants others' praises and accepts others' charity. But I am the daughter of one who is praised and gives charity instead of accepting it. Oh, beggar woman, you can beat your breast, use foul speech, swear hatred to me, yield to anger, or weep angry tears in vain. But just remember, if I wish, I can hurt you, but you can do nothing to me. Though you wish to bicker, know that I do not consider you even as my equal." Hearing this, Devayani became enraged and began to pull at Sarmishta's clothes. However, the latter threw Devayani down into a blind well, and believing Sukra's daughter to be dead, went home angrily. Later, King Yayati, who had been hunting, arrived at that spot. The 2 horses yoked to his chariot, as well as the other single horse with him, were fatigued. The king himself was thirsty. Looking about, he saw a nearby well. Approaching it and looking inside, he saw that it was not only dry, but that there was an effulgent maiden in it. She had nails that resembled burnished copper, and earrings studded with heavenly jewels. He asked, "Who are you? And how did you fall into this well, which is covered with creepers and long grass? And whose daughter are you?"
"I am Sukra's daughter. My father knows the science of restoring dead persons to life. He is unaware of what has happened to me. Here, take my right hand. Please take it and lift me out of the well. I know you are nobly born and virtuous and very famous and valorous."
As King Yayati caught her hand and lifted her up, he could not help squinting at her beautiful tapering thighs. He then left courteously and returned to his capital. Grievous Devayani then said to her maid, "Oh, Gurnika, go quickly and tell my father all that has happened. I do not wish to enter King Vrishaparvan's city now." Gurnika hastened to Sukra's house and, full of indignation over Devayani's ordeal, said, "O great Brahmin, Devayani was assaulted by Sarmishta, the king's daughter." Sukra, his heart heavy, hurried out and found her in the forest. Clasping her affectionately, he sadly said,
"O daughter, the woe that comes to people is the result of their own past misdoings. Therefore you must have committed a wrong in the past for which you have just been punished."
"Punishment or not, please listen to me attentively, O father. Listen to what Sarmishta said to me. With reddened eyes and cutting malicious words, she called you a mere chanter of praises of her demon father. And she called me, the daughter of one who is hired to chant others' praises, and who begs for charity and receives donations. She called herself the daughter of one who receives worship, who gives gifts but never solicits them. Oh, Father, if I am what she said I am, then I must worship her in the hope of gaining her favor."
Sukra answered,
"O Devayani, you are not the daughter of a hired chanter of praises or of one that seeks charity and accepts gifts. No. You are the daughter of one who praises no one, but is praised by everyone. Yes, King Vrishaparva knows this, and so does Indra and King Yayati. Lord Brahma is my power, and he himself said that I am a master of all things on heaven and earth. I can cause rain for the benefit of all beings and nourish the annual plants that feed all living creatures."
In this way, by such pleasant, significant words, Sukra tried to placate his angry woebegone daughter. Then he tried to appeal to her philosophically.
"O Devayani, try to realize that one who is undisturbed by another's words can conquer everything. The sages say that a true charioteer holds the reins of the horses tightly. Similarly, a true person does not allow his anger to rise, but controls it. Further, he shakes off his rising anger by showing forgiveness. A person who controls his anger and disregards the wicked words of others surely obtains life's four goals, namely righteousness, wealth, pleasure, and salvation. If one person performs sacrifices energetically every month for 100 years, and another person feels no anger towards anything, the latter person is surely superior. Though boys and girls cannot distinguish between what is proper and improper, and argue with each other, the wise never emulate them."
"Oh, Father, I know the difference in power between anger and forgiveness, but a guru should never forgive a disciple who acts disrespectfully toward him if he wants to benefit the disciple. Consequently, I no longer wish to live in a country where wicked conduct is regarded highly. If a wise person desires good, he should not live among those wickedly inclined persons who disdain good conduct and noble birth. Rather, he should dwell where good conduct and noble birth are practiced and honored. Sarmishta's malicious words burn in my heart, just as when wood burns. I cannot think of anything more miserable in the three worlds than for one to worship his foes who possess good fortune, while he himself possesses none. The wise have said that death would be better for such a person.
Seeing how disturbed his daughter had become, Sukra himself became angry. Thus he approached King Vrishaparva, who was seated, and without considering his words, began to address him.
O king, like the earth, wicked deeds do not bear fruit immediately. They do so gradually and covertly, destroying those who execute them. Such fruits come either to oneself, one's son, or to one's grandson. Wicked deeds must bear fruit. Like rich foods, they can never be digested. And because you are responsible for your subjects committing them, I am leaving you and your relatives.
Surprised, the king said,
But what did my subjects do? They killed the Brahmin Kacha, who was righteous, knowledgeable in religious principles, and diligent in his service while he lived in my house. And just a while ago, your daughter badly maltreated my daughter. For these reasons, I can no longer remain with you, and I am not lying. You take your offenses much too lightly and make no effort to correct them.
Oh, Sukra, please be merciful to me. Piety and truth always dwell in you. If you leave us, we shall have to enter the depths of the ocean, for truly what else could we do?
Whether you enter the depths of the ocean or fly away in every direction, I do not care. I cannot bear my daughter's sorrow. She is ever precious to me. My life depends on her well-being. If you want to please me, then try to please her. I have always sought your well-being by my ascetic merits, just as Brihaspati seeks the well-being of Indra.
Oh, Sukra, whatever we demon leaders possess, our elephants, cows, horses, even my lowly self, they are yours. You, yes, you are the absolute master of them all.
If what you just said is true, that I am the lord of the demons' wealth, then you must go and please Devayani.
Sukra then led King Vrishaparvan to the spot in the forest where Devayani was waiting, but had him stand aside so he could first talk to her alone. After he related to her the conversation he had just had with the king, she quickly replied,
"Oh, Father, if you are indeed the master of the demon king and all his riches, then tell the king to come here and say so in my presence."
Sukra signaled the king to approach them, and when he did, he told him what Devayani wanted. The king replied,
"Oh, Devayani, whatever you wish, I am willing to grant, no matter how difficult it may be to do so."
"All right. Then I want your daughter Sarmishta, with her 1,000 maids, to become my servant, and she must follow me to wherever my father gives me away in marriage."
Vrishaparvan then summoned a maidservant who had been attending him, and explained to her what had transpired.
"Go and bring Sarmishta here quickly to fulfill Devayani's wish."
When the maidservant reached Sarmishta's apartment, she said,
"Please rise and follow me. You are in a position to do good to your relatives. Because you mistreated Devayani, Sukra is on the verge of leaving the demon race. Your father has therefore pacified him by granting Devayani's wish, namely, that you become her servant, along with 1,000 maids, and do whatever she wants."
Evaluating the situation and all that could be lost if she refused, Sarmishta replied,
"I will gladly do Devayani's bidding, for I do not want to be blamed for either her or her father's leaving the kingdom."
Accompanied by 1,000 maids and riding on a palanquin, Sarmishta arrived where Devayani, Sukra, and the king had been waiting. Sarmishta approached Devayani and said,
"Along with my 1,000 maids, I am your servant. And yes, I will follow you wherever your father gives you away in marriage."
Devayani replied,
"Oh?"
Then with a note of sarcasm,
"But I am the daughter of one who chants your father's praises and who begs and accepts charity from you. But you, on the other hand, are the daughter of one who is worshipped. So how can you be my servant?"
Catching the meaning, Sarmishta answered,
"It is my duty to make my father and my relatives happy, and if that is what it takes, then that is what I will do."
Devayani then said to her father,
"I am now satisfied and am ready to re-enter the demon capital. And I now know that your science and power of knowledge are not worthless."
Sukra entered the city with a joyful heart, and the demons worshipped him with great respect. After some time, Devayani, along with Sarmishta and 2,000 maids, proceeded to the same forest for the purpose of having fun. When she reached the same spot as she had earlier, she began to ramble about freely. Served by all those companions, she felt extremely joyful. In a light-hearted, sporting mood, they began drinking the honey in flowers and eating different types of fruit. At that moment, King Yayati, the son of Nahusha, again appeared in the area. He had been wandering about, searching for deer, and was now fatigued and thirsty. When he saw Devayani, Sarmishta, and the other maids, he noted that they were adorned with heavenly ornaments, and from the flower honey they had imbibed, were overcome with sensuous languor. Devayani was smiling sweetly, had the fairest complexion of them all, and was incomparable in her beauty. She was reclining at her ease while Sarmishta gently massaged her feet. Yayati went over to them and said, "O young ladies, I would like to know who you are and who your fathers are. It appears that these 2,000 maids are serving both of you." Devayani replied,
"Oh, sir, I am the daughter of Sukra, the guru of the demon race, and my companion here is my servant. She waits on me wherever we go. Her name is Sarmishta, and she is the daughter of the demon king Vrishaparvan."
"Oh, I'm curious to know why this lovely maiden and daughter of the demon king is your servant."
"Oh, sir, as everything is the result of fate, this too is. So do not wonder at it. But you look and are dressed like a king, and you speak well and correct as the Vedic scriptures sound. What is your name, and where do you come from, and whose son are you?"
"My name is Yayati. I'm the son of a king, and a king myself. During my student days, when I was observing the vow of celibacy, I listened to all the Vedic scriptures."
"What brings you here, O king? Is it to collect lotuses, or to fish, or to hunt?"
"I've been hunting for deer. However, because I'm thirsty, I've come here looking for water. I am also very fatigued, but if you wish me to leave, well, then just order me."
No, not at all. In fact, I, with my maids and Sarmishta, would prefer you to order me. All good fortune to you. I would like you to become my friend and my husband."
"Oh, beautiful one, I'm unworthy of you, for you are the daughter of the illustrious Brahmin Sukra, and I'm just merely a warrior king."
In earlier times, members of the Brahmin caste were married to members of the warrior caste. You are the son of a sage, and thus you yourself are a sage. Therefore, please marry me.
True, the four orders, namely the Brahmin, warrior, merchant, and laborer, have sprung from one body. Nonetheless, their duties and purity are not the same, for the Brahmin is above them all.
Before you lifted me out of the well some time ago, my hand had never been touched by any man, nor has it been touched by any man since. For this reason, I accept you as my husband. I am sure you realize that because you touched me, no other man would want to touch me now, for he would feel that I belong only to you.
But the wise know that a Brahmin should be avoided more so than an angry poisonous snake or a big spreading fire.
Why do you say that?
Because in one moment, an angry snake can kill only one person, whereas an angry Brahmin, just by his desire, can kill entire cities and kingdoms. So I just cannot marry you unless your father offers you to me.
All right, if that is the way you will accept me.
Devayani then sent a maidservant to her father, and she told him all that had occurred. Sukra then hastened to the area where Devayani was waiting. When Yayati saw him, he offered obeisance, and then stood up with palms together, awaiting the sage's commands. Devayani began, pointing to King Yayati.
Oh, father, here's the son of King Nahusha. When I was stuck in the well, he took hold of my hand and lifted me out. Please give me in marriage to him, for I will not marry anyone else in the world.
Sukra said to Yayati, O king, since my daughter has accepted you as her husband, I give her over to you. Therefore, please accept her as your wife.
Gladly, but first I would like a blessing from you, namely that when I marry Devayani and produce a child in her, I do not have to feel guilty of the sin of producing a half-breed, such as a child that is of both the warrior and the priestly castes.
You need not worry about that. I shall absolve you from that sin. Just maintain Devayani virtuously. May you always be happy in her company.
He then pointed to Sarmishta.
This other maid, King Vrishaparvan's daughter, you must always respect, and you must never have sexual relations with her. Do you understand?
In agreement and out of reverence, Yayati walked around Sukra. Then, based on the scriptural ordinance, the marriage ceremony took place. Afterwards, King Yayati, along with Devayani, Sarmishta, and the 2,000 maidens, returned to his capital happily. Yayati's capital was very opulent, like the city of Indra. In his palace, he entered the inner apartments with Devayani and established her there. Devayani asked him to establish Sarmishta in a mansion among the Ashok trees in his garden. He surrounded her with 1,000 maids and respected her by making all arrangements for her food and clothes. Yayati, for many years, sported blissfully with Devayani, and after some time she conceived and later gave birth to an excellent boy. But Sarmishta, still childless, became anxious and said to herself,
It is time for me to have a child, yet I have not even chosen a husband. What should I do? How can I satisfy my wish? Devayani has become a mother, but I shall simply spend my youth in vain. Of course, I could choose Devayani's husband for my husband, but should I? Why not? Yes, that's what I will do. I will try to obtain a son from him. But will that righteous king, will he see me privately? As Sarmishta was thinking in this way, the king happened to wander by lackadaisically. Seeing her, Yayati halted and remained silent. When Sarmishta beheld him and realized they were alone, she approached him, joined her palms respectfully, and said, O king, you know that I am both pretty and high-born. I am at that time of life when I should have a child. Therefore, I would like you to produce one in me.
Yes, I know you are high-born and beautiful, and in fact, I do not see even the slightest flaw in your appearance, but when I was married to Devayani, Sukra ordered me to never have sexual relations with you.
Oh, king, It has been said that lying is not sinful when it is done under 5 different circumstances. Namely, when one is joking, or seeking a woman for enjoyment, or getting married, or saving a person from death, or losing one's fortune. Any of those conditions. Therefore, when you promise to have intercourse only with Devayani, why not consider that you were lying then? What is the harm?
Because in the eyes of his people, a king should always be a perfect example. If he lies, he surely meets with destruction. And regarding myself, even if the greatest loss threatens me, I would not dare to lie.
O king, one may regard her friend's husband as her own, and her friend's marriage may also be regarded as her own. My friend has chosen you as her husband. Thus you are as much my husband as you are hers. So I beg you, please satisfy my desire.
Well, I have taken a vow to always grant what one asks me for. Therefore, I guess I'll do what you ask. They then spent some time together, and after a while parted affectionately. As a result of this union, Sarmishta conceived, and later gave birth to a beautiful boy. When Devayani learned of this, she became jealous and began to think unpleasant things about Sarmishta. So Devayani went to her and said,
Why have you committed the sin of yielding to lust? I committed no sin. What happened was that I met a certain great sage who was highly virtuous and well versed in the Vedas. Since he was capable of granting boons, I asked him to bless me with a son, and he did. Therefore, I committed no sin.
Oh, if that is the case, you are quite right.
But what is the sage's name? And what is his family name? And his ancestry? Devayani, when I looked at him and saw his ascetic and energetic effulgence, I felt it was not necessary to ask him those questions.
Well, if that is what actually happened, Sarmishta, then I have no reason to be angry with you. They talked and laughed, and then Devayani returned to her palace apartment. After some time, Devayani became the mother of 2 sons. They were known as Yadu and Turvasu, and in splendor were like Lord Indra and Lord Vishnu. Sarmishta, by Yayati's help, became the mother of 3 sons, whose names were Drayu, Anu, and Puru. One day Devayani and Yayati went into a lonely part of the king's gardens. There they came upon 3 gorgeous children who were frolicking with perfect confidence. Surprised by their presence, Devayani asked,
Whose children are they? Why, in beauty they look like children of the gods, and in splendor I think they resemble you.
But without even waiting for the king to reply, she asked the children,
Oh boys, what is your ancestry, and who is your father? Please tell me truly.
The children then pointed to the king and revealed that Sarmishta was their mother. Then the children approached the king to clasp his knees, but Yayati would not dare to fondle them in Devayani's company. The boys began to cry and hastened to Sarmishta, who was standing nearby. Devayani called to Sarmishta and exclaimed,
You lied to me! How dare you do this when you are my dependent? Do you not fear the sin of illicit sex? Oh, Devayani, all that I said about the sage is completely true. I have acted properly according to the rules of righteousness, so I am not afraid of you. When you selected the king as your husband, I too selected him as mine. According to custom, a friend's husband is also one's own husband. Oh, Devayani, you are a Brahmin's daughter, and so you deserve my worship and respect. But do you not know that I hold this royal sage, Yayati, in even greater respect?
Devayani turned to the king and said,
You have ill-treated me, so I will not reside here any longer.
Her eyes full of tears, she hastened to her father. The king was sorry to see her like this, and, very frightened, followed behind her, trying to placate her anger. But Devayani, her eyes angry red, would not stop. When she reached her father, she bowed down low and then stood up. Yayati, immediately after her, did the same. Devayani began,
Father, vice has defeated virtue. The low have ascended and the high have descended. Once again, I've been wronged by Sarmishta. My husband has produced 3 sons in her, but unfortunately has produced only 2 in me. And he is famous for his knowledge of the rules of righteousness. But I tell you, Father, he has swerved from this path.
O king, since you have joyfully engaged in vice, while fully knowing the rules of righteousness, I hereby curse you with undefeatable old age.
Oh, sage, I was propositioned by Sarmishta to give her a child because she had come of age to give birth. I acceded to her request from a sense of virtue and not base motives. You know it is stated in the Vedas that if a woman is of age to have a child and she asks a man to produce one in her, if he refuses, he loses virtue and is considered to be a killer of the embryo. Thus, concerned about avoiding sin, I had sexual relations with Sarmishta.
Yes, but you are dependent on me, so you should not have yielded till you received my order to do so. Therefore, because you went against my wishes and you took what you had no right to take, you have been guilty of the sin of theft.
At that moment, King Yayati suddenly lost his youth and became a weak, elderly man. He then pleaded,
Oh, Sukra, I have not yet enough youthful pleasures or enough gratification with Devayani. Please be merciful to me and take away this old age.
Once I say something, it must come to pass. However, if you wish, you may transfer your old age to someone else.
Oh, Brahmin, please ordain that whichever of my sons gives me his youth will enjoy my kingdom and attain to both piety and renown.
All right. That son of yours who will transfer his youth to you will become your successor to the throne. He shall also gain long life, great renown, and many children.
The aged Yayati returned to his capital. He called his oldest son, Yadu, the most accomplished, and said,
My dear son, Sukra has just cursed me. Thus weakness and wrinkles and white hair have overtaken me. Yet I have not had enough of the pleasures of youth to be satisfied. Oh, Yadu, take my weakness and old age and give me your youth for pleasures. And after 1,000 years passes, I will return your youth and take back my old age and weakness.
Yadu answered, Oh, father, when one is old, there are many difficulties in regard to drinking and eating. The consequences of old age are white hair, moroseness, laziness, deformities, weak limbs, thinness, incapacity to work, and defeat by friends and comrades. For these reasons, I do not want your old age. O king, you have numerous sons. Some of them are dearer to you than I. You know the rules of virtue, so ask one of your other sons to take your old age. Actually, Yadu was a very spiritual-minded son and wanted to engage fully in devotional service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. However, his desire for sense pleasures prevented him from doing so. Thus, he wanted to exhaust those desires as quickly as possible in activities so that his path would be clear for spiritual or devotional activities. But Yayati was not pleased by Yadu's answer, so he exclaimed,
"O son, you have sprung from my heart, yet you will not offer me your youth. All right, if that's the way you feel, then none of your children will ever be kings."
Yayati then asked his son Turvasu for his youth, but Turvasu also refused him. So Yayati cursed him, saying,
"You wretch! You shall become the leader of those whose practices and principles are unclean. Yes, you shall be the king of those low-caste men who produce children with high-caste women, who eat meat, who are wicked, who enjoy the wives of their superiors, who act like birds and beasts, and who are sinful and non-Aryan."
Yayati next asked his son Draya for his youth, but he also refused, as he wanted to continue enjoying sense pleasures. So Yayati exclaimed,
"Oh, well, if that's what you want, then rest assured that your most cherished wishes will never be fulfilled. And you shall be king in name only of that area where there are no roads for the passage of horses, chariots, elephants, vehicles, asses, goats, bullocks, and palanquins, and where there is swimming only by rats and floats."
Then Yayati asked his son Anu for his youth, but Anu also refused for similar reasons. So Yayati cried,
"You find so many faults in old age. Therefore, old age will overcome you. Your children also, when they become youths, will die, and you will not be able to perform fire sacrifices."
At last Yayati turned to his youngest son and explained why he wanted his youth. Puru humbly replied, "O king, I shall do what you ask me. Yes, I shall take your weakness and old age, and you may take my youth and enjoy life's pleasures for some years." Yayati replied,
"Oh, Puru, I am pleased with you. So the people in your kingdom will have all their desires fulfilled."
He then transferred his old age to Puru's body and received Puru's youth. This made him extremely happy. Yayati once again began to indulge in his favorite activities as he fully desired. He did so to the limit of his powers and according to the seasons to obtain the highest pleasure from them. However, he never acted contrary to the principles of religion. He offered sacrifices to the gods, foodstuffs to the ancestors, and charity to the poor. He gave food and drink to all persons worthy of hospitality, gave protection to the merchants and farmers, gave kindness to the lower caste laborers, and gave punishment to all criminals. Yayati gratified every one of his subjects. Enjoying whatever objects he desired, the king became exceedingly happy. He was sorry only when he realized that the 1,000 years would come to an end someday. When the righteous king noted that the stipulated 1,000 years were over, he called his son Puru and said, "My son, I have fully enjoyed the pleasures of life. However, our desires are never satisfied by yielding to them. Rather, they only increase in intensity, as the sacrificial fire does when clarified butter is poured on it. If a person owned everything on earth, rice, barley, silver, gold, gems, animals, and women, he still would not be content. So the thirst for worldly enjoyment, which is man's fatal disease, that should be renounced. Of course, this is difficult for the sinful and the wicked, but only they who have done so can know real happiness. During the last 1,000 years, my thirst for material pleasure has increased day after day. So it is time for me to renounce it and fix my mind on the Supreme Lord. I shall therefore retire to the forest and pass my remaining days peacefully, with the innocent deer and without desire for worldly objects." "Oh, Puru, I'm very pleased with you. May you be prosperous. Here, take back your youth, and also take my kingdom." Yayati then recovered his old age, and Puru regained his youth. The king desired to install Puru, his youngest son, on the throne. However, members of the 4 orders, with the Brahmins at their head, approached him. One of them said,
"O king, why are you giving the throne to Puru? You are passing over your eldest son Yadu, Devayani's child and Sukra's grandson. The next oldest is Turvasu, then Drayu, then Anu, and then Puru. Why does your youngest son, yes, your youngest, deserve the throne? This is not the proper practice."
Yayati replied,
O members of the 4 orders, please listen to why my kingdom should not be given to Yadu, my oldest son. It is said by the wise that a son who disobeys his father is no son at all. But the son who obeys his parents, who pursues their good, who is pleasing to them, is truly the best of sons. But my sons Yadu, Turvasu, Drayu, and Anu, they disobeyed me when I asked for their help. However, Puru alone obeyed me and cared about me. He took my old age and did what was pleasing to me. So Puru is my friend, and though he is the youngest, he should be my successor. Even Sukra himself ordered that son of mine who would obey me would become my successor and bring the entire earth under his command. Therefore, I beg you all to allow me to install Puru.
One of the persons there replied,
Yes, O king, it is true. The son who has good qualities and pursues the good of his parents is worthy of prosperity, even if he be the youngest. So Puru, who has done the good, is worthy of the throne. And since Sukra himself ordered this, we have nothing to say about it.
Yayati then installed Puru on the throne, and after performing the initiatory ceremonies for retiring to the forest, left his capital, followed by Brahmins and ascetics. Yadu's sons are known as the Yadus. Those of Turvasu are known as the Yavanas. The sons of Drayu are called the Bhojas. The sons of Anu are referred to as the Malechas. And those of Puru are called the Pauravas, from whom came the Kauravas and the Pandavas. This ends the story of Devayani, Sukracharya's daughter.